It's time to share some amazing news. People who receive benefits from Social Security, SSDI, Virginia, and Supplemental Security Income, SSI, are starting to get $2,000 stimulus checks. Prepare for an increase in wealth. A $2,000 stimulus check is available to you, which can help with bills, groceries, and other expenses that you may have. There's more good news. These checks have already been mailed. Thus, keep a watch on your bank account or mailbox because your payment will arrive shortly. We recognize that keeping up with everything can be stressful, particularly if you're anxiously anticipating finances. We're here to explain things to you clearly because of this. This news affects everyone, regardless of whether they get VA, SSI, SSDI, or Social Security payments. Our goal is to make sure you are aware of it and ready for it. So take a seat comfortably and come along as we explore this fascinating update. We'll give you all the details you need to know about these $2,000 stimulus checks so you can take full advantage of this financial opportunity. In response to ongoing economic pressures hitting many vulnerable parts of the population and persistent inflation, Congress negotiated, and the President signed into law this unexpected stimulus plan over the weekend. Here's a summary of what we currently know about who is eligible for these $2,000 checks, when they should arrive, possible income restrictions, and how recipients can access the funds, although more information is continually surfacing. The following federal recipients will get the $2,000 stimulus payments in accordance with legislation and Internal Revenue Service, IRS, guidelines. Beneficiaries of Social Security retirement benefits, Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI benefits, Supplemental Security Income, SSI benefits, and beneficiaries of VA pensions and compensation. Regardless of age or income level, everybody receiving Social Security retirement benefits will immediately be eligible for the full $2,000 stimulus payout. The maximum $2,000 direct payment will also be available to those who are currently receiving SSDI benefits as a result of a qualifying disability. The stimulus eligibility includes those who receive Supplemental Security Income, SSI, a needs-based program for low-income elderly and handicapped individuals. Furthermore, the entire $2,000 stimulus payment will be given to veterans who are receiving pension benefits and compensation from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. In addition to the recipient's usual monthly federal benefit payments from these programs, a stimulus check will be given out. It is a distinct one-time payment rather than something that supplements or replaces such benefits. The maximum reward per qualified individual is $2,000. For some higher-earning recipients, there will be a payout range determined by income constraints. Nevertheless, the first batch of $2,000 stimulus checks is being issued and shipped out starting today, Tuesday, April 9, 2024, according to representatives from the Treasury Department and IRS. Some of the lowest-income Social Security, SSDI, SSI, and VA beneficiaries are the focus of this first wave. Over the following 2 weeks through late April, the IRS and other government agencies will keep dispersing these $2,000 payments on a regularly rolling basis. Getting stimulus money to all eligible Americans who meet the requirements as soon as feasible is the aim. The majority of individuals will receive their stimulus checks in the form of paper checks or debit cards in the mail, sent by the U.S. Postal Service. Once your payment has been issued, officials advise allowing 1 to 2 weeks for processing and delivery. Nonetheless, for certain federal recipients who have previously gotten payments by direct deposit, the IRS does have their banking information on file. When such data is accessible and confirmed, the stimulus funds will be transferred straight into the beneficiary's bank account. The majority of federal beneficiaries will receive the full $2,000 stimulus payment, but there will be some phase-outs for those with higher incomes. Eligibility for the full $2,000 check for Social Security payments for single tax filers starts to phase out at $75,500 in adjusted gross income, AGI. For each $1,000 of income over that threshold, the payment amount drops progressively until it entirely phases out at $999,000 AGI. The $2,000 stimulus payment amount for married couples filing jointly who get federal benefits begins to phase off at $150,000 in AGI. After that income barrier, it will gradually drop by a certain amount for each $1,000 over that limit. For couples making more than $174,000, it will completely phase out. Only recipients of VA compensation pensions and Social Security retirement benefits are subject to these income phase-out ranges. There are no income restrictions or earnings-based phase-outs for SSDI or SSI recipients. Regardless of overall income, all eligible SSDI and SSI recipients will get the entire $2,000 stimulus payment. For income computations, the IRS will use data from 2022 or 2023 tax returns to ascertain the adjusted gross income and phase-out eligibility of the grantees. If a taxpayer has already filed a 2023 tax return, the IRS will utilize the income information from the most recent year. If a person hasn't filed for 2023 yet, their tax transcripts will automatically use their 2022 AGI. The procedure is simple for the millions of federal beneficiaries who will get their $2,000 stimulus in the mail as a paper check. Once received, the check can be deposited or paid at any bank or credit union. The eligible recipient will get the payment. There is nothing to be done by those who are receiving their stimulus instantly put into their bank account. The $2,000 will automatically appear in their account balance. It will be identified on bank statements as a IRS 3 deposit, which stands for the third round of economic impact payments. The first two were stimulus payments sent in the midst of the COVID-19 outbreak. If a veteran currently uses a Direct Express debit card to pay for their normal monthly benefits, they now have the option to have their $2,000 stimulus placed straight into that card. Despite the fact that this is a tax credit stimulus payment in theory, recipients of all income levels are not considered to be receiving taxable income from it. For federal tax reasons, the $2,000 will not be included in the recipient's gross income calculations. The IRS says there will be a procedure to seek your money if you are a federal beneficiary and you think you qualify for a stimulus check based on the eligibility criteria listed above, but you don't receive a payment by mid to late April. It is anticipated that you will file for a recovery rebate credit in early 2025 when you file your 2024 tax return. The IRS has not yet provided all the information on how this procedure would operate and what documentation you might be required to submit in order to confirm your eligibility for stimulus payments. There might also be extra administrative procedures required for those with special circumstances, such receiving benefits under a foreign address or other complications, in order to claim any unclaimed stimulus monies. Over the next few weeks, officials are asking all potentially eligible beneficiaries to keep a careful check on their bank accounts, debit cards, and mailboxes, and to report any problems as soon as possible. Getting these vital payments to disadvantaged groups facing crises is a top priority for the IRS and the Treasury. Although the $2,000 in federal stimulus funds will not be subject to federal income taxes, recipients may be required to pay state income taxes based on where they reside. The majority of states that have wide income taxes automatically abide by federal regulations that designate the stimulus as non-taxable on a state-by-state basis. Although extremely advantageous for the receivers, there are some who disagree with the most recent $2,000 stimulus payment and its negative effects. Concerns concerning the overall cost and effect on the already high levels of deficit spending have been voiced by a few experts and fiscal watchdog groups. Early cost estimates put the overall cost of these stimulus checks at well over $130 billion, considering that over 65 million Americans get benefits from Social Security, SSDI, SSI, and VA programs. Opponents contend that increasing the federal deficit further runs the risk of overheating the already strong economy and ultimately stoking inflation. Concerns about equity also exist over the stimulus funding poor targeting in relation to actual financial need. While there are claims that richer retirees with significant non-Social Security income and assets do not need stimulus payments in full, low-income SSI beneficiaries certainly need the extra cash. But supporters argue that even upper-middle-class retirement savings have been depleted in recent years due to fast increasing costs. They contend that universal stimulus for government recipients boosts consumer spending while also acting as a moral safety net for society. Another criticism is that, despite its generosity, the $2,000 one-time payment could not be sufficient for the most vulnerable recipients who are already struggling with systemic inflation in areas like housing, electricity, and medical expenses. A few advocacy groups had advocated for monthly stimulus payments to individuals experiencing the most severe financial hardship, amounting to $1,000 or more. Though the current round of $2,000 stimulus checks only began to be distributed this week, speculation has already begun to circulate over the possibility of further relief later in the year. A lot will rely on whether high inflation continues into the summer and fall.